Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is threatening to move ahead with a floor vote to remove Mike Johnson as House Speaker. This comes after House Democrats announced today they would block the vote and save his job. The Georgia Republican accusing Johnson and Democrats now in a social media post of making a, quote, slimy backroom deal. Hours earlier, House Democratic leadership released a joint statement saying it's time to, quote, turn the page on this chapter of pro-Putin Republican obstruction. They vowed that Greene's ouster effort would not succeed. Earlier today, Speaker Johnson denied that he made a deal with Democrats to save his job.
I was laser focused on getting the supplemental done. Now, I've had colleagues from both parties come up to me on the floor, of course, and say, we won't stand for this. We're not going to shut the government down and all that, shut the House down. And, of course, I've acknowledged that. But I've not requested assistance from anyone. I've not focused on that at all. I've focused on getting the job done and getting the legislation passed. And that's what. No, there's no deals at all. No, not at all.
CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion is following all of this from Capitol Hill. Nikole, explain this. Democrats were not willing to go out on a limb for the previous speaker, Kevin McCarthy. Why are they now saying they are willing to vote to protect Speaker Johnson when he's arguably more conservative than McCarthy is?
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, some of this had to do with personality differences. Democrats had made clear that it was possible that they might be willing to throw Speaker Mike Johnson a lifeline if that foreign aid national security supplemental package advanced, which it ultimately did, passing both chambers of Congress. So to that extent, Democrats, as you saw in that statement, feel like it's time to turn the page. We were able to work in this bipartisan fashion. We were able to build a coalition. We don't want to go back to holding pieces of legislation hostage. And I put that question directly to the chair of the Democratic caucus, Pete Aguilar. Take a listen to what he said.
Look, I'm not going to try to get in the head of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know what goes on in there. It's her right to bring that up. The Republican rules that she voted for, that we voted against, allow any single member to bring this proposal up. She is a legislative arsonist, and she is holding the gas tank. And Kevin McCarthy allowed that to happen. That's not lost on anybody. What we are saying is we don't need to be a part of that.
So bottom line, they don't want to go there, but, the chair was responding specifically to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said that she may move forward with this motion to vacate anyway because she wants to put people on record. We now know that she intends to hold a news conference Wednesday morning. You can see there, I tried to ask her multiple times if she is going to move forward with this motion to vacate. She declined to comment, and this, of course, comes after she had some pretty extensive conversations on the House floor today, for instance, with Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Tom Massey, who supports her motion to vacate, and Congressman Matt Gaetz. She also was seen going to the office of the parliamentarian earlier today. So again, whether or not she's going to move forward remains to be clear, but she continues to hold that threat over Speaker Johnson's head.
No question. Nikole, let's talk about the protests that have been happening on college campuses across the U.S. I know that the education secretary was there on Capitol Hill being grilled today. How is Congress responding to these protests?
Yeah, well, Secretary Cardona was here on the Hill speaking before a Senate Appropriations subcommittee. And while the focus of that hearing was more so on next year's budget, he was pressed a number of times by Republican senators specifically. We also tried to press him directly about what his message would be to these campus demonstrators who have set up these encampments on college campuses across the country. And what he continued to say is that he believes that anti-Semitism is wrong, that we need to do a better job. Take a listen to what he told the panel this morning.
I think what's happening on our campuses is abhorrent. Hate has no place on our campuses, and I'm very concerned with the reports of anti-Semitism.
The secretary went on to say that The department has about 137 investigations open into a variety of universities, and that they potentially would be willing to pull federal funds from these schools if they find any violations. Of course, this came ahead of a House-wide crackdown that was announced by Speaker Mike Johnson today to take further action with respect to this issue of anti-Semitism on college campuses. Nancy.
Those federal funds very important to colleges and universities. Nikole Killion, thanks so much.